Hi everyone, Chris here. So this is the K30 Pro from Redmi, the Zoom edition, 1 week later now, and I'm seriously considering this phone as my next main phone for 2020. Now, it doesn't have a 90 Hz refresh rate screen on this, which would have been absolutely perfect, and then I think Xiaomi could have really dominated with this phone. It only has really one weakness if you can get over the fact that it's just got a 60 Hz screen on it. It's a fantastic screen. This has the best battery life I have seen in a phone for 2020, an excellent build. So in this in-depth review, let's find out why I like the Redmi K30 Pro Zoom Edition so much. Looking at the build quality of this one, it is a true flagship in terms of build quality, very good. I like the metal frame around the outside of it. It has nice rounded edges, silver as you can see. So on the left there are no buttons whatsoever, just the antenna line. And if you take a look at the right, that's where our power button is and the volume button. I can get to those very easily, so no problems with that where they have plastic. The buttons are made out of metal. Now the fingerprint unlocking on this, we've got a Goodx fingerprint sensor, and I find that it is quick, but it is certainly not the fastest I have seen. I think that goes to either my Huawei P30 Pro or the Realme X50 Pro 5G, which is very quick, but this one's not bad as you can see. It will unlock in about a second or so. So our Type-C port on the bottom does not support video out. This is something that Xiaomi doesn't have on any of their phones, sadly. It would be nice to see this in the future. Single downwards firing loudspeaker, that's all for loudspeakers. We have just one on this. Microphone and our SIM tray. So the SIM tray will take 2 nano SIMs. No, there is no micro SD card support. And then up top we have the pop-up camera. So this pop-up camera also houses a status LED within it that you can see, for example, missed calls and things. But we've got an always-on display as well with this. Now the 3.5mm headphone jack on this is great to have, of course, so they didn't drop it. But the sound quality, the output from this, very nice. It is very clean and it's loud and it does sound great to my ears. Secondary mic, and yes, there is an IR transmitter with this model as well. The phone is rather heavy at 224 grams, making it definitely not the lightest. It is quite big. 6.67-inch screen that it has on it is covered with Gorilla Glass 5, and we do have Gorilla Glass 5 on the back. The phone is 9.1 millimeters thick, and that's not including the camera, which sticks out an additional 2 millimeters. So the rounded glass and the style and look of it on the back does remind me a lot of the OnePlus 7T that I reviewed. It houses within it a 64 megapixel Sony IMX686 main sensor. Now this does have optical image stabilization, just like the 8 megapixel 3x optical camera that the Zoom Edition has. We also get a 13 megapixel ultra wide and a 2 megapixel camera for depth information. So the build quality to me is at the same level as their flagship, the Xiaomi Mi 10 and the Mi 10 Pro. Hats off to them. It's an excellent build that this phone has. So when you activate the front-facing camera to take a selfie, you'll see it pop up. It takes about 1.5 seconds. You get a little bit of a light show, but you're able to change those settings and the colors if you want in the camera settings for the pop-up camera. Now, because of this, face unlocking is not that fast. It's going to need an additional about 1 to 2 seconds to pop up, look at your face, and then unlock the phone. So I do stick to fingerprint unlocking, which is more secure anyway. So Xiaomi selected a very nice panel, I mean a stunner of an AMOLED panel that's in this from Samsung. So it's 6.67 inches, the resolution is 1080 by 2400 pixels, and it is very nice. So maximum brightness with this one does top out to be almost 1000 nits of brightness, so it looks great in direct sunlight. Now the gamma, as you can see right here, it does come out to be a little bit off here, somewhere between 2.4 and 2.6. Very punchy colors, deep blacks, and I'm seeing no issues with deep blacks, not showing like a green tint or uneven, nothing like that. Real world images, they do look excellent on this, especially video content. When you're looking at a movie on this, you don't have a horrible cutout or a notch in the way, taking away from the experience. It's a flat panel as well, but it does have 2.5D edges at least. Onto the UI now and system performance. So I am running the apps drawer here, which I often don't do with MIUI 11. It is Android 10.2 that it is running. The security patch level is from March with this one, and very smooth, very fluid, no real complaints for me. Yes, my typical little nitpick with MIUI is that sometimes with the full screen gestures,
I'll just trigger them again properly, that you do sometimes see some animation stutter there. Now, what about the RAM management? Is it a little bit heavy-handed? I have noticed. So I've got PC Mark that I've kept in the background for some time. Go back to that. And okay, checking for updates, but it didn't have to reload the app. That is good. Now, when I do notice some of that animation lag that I'm constantly moaning about with MIUI, hopefully one day they'll fix it, is definitely when you're in the camera and you go out, you sometimes see that it just does a little bit of a frame dip. So it goes from like 60 frames per second down to maybe 20 for a split second. I can see it. I know some people can't. I know others can, and they've confirmed this. But it's just one thing I wanted to mention. So I have made some voice calls with this because I got to test this out. It is a phone after all, and excellent call quality. Wanted to mention that just now, that it's great. Now you do have some options here that if you're not too happy with just how it is out of the box, because out of the box it's the widgets and all your icons all together, but you just need to change that to, of course, the drawer mode that I'm using now with the apps drawer. Default launcher can actually be changed here. So if you want to use, say, Nova Launcher, you're able to do that. Now, I do have the Chinese version, so it didn't come with Google Play Store, but I have it here up and running, and it is very smooth, no problems. And how did I do it? Well, you've got Google Play Installer app. If you trust it, it will download it and install the apps for you. You do need to set permissions so you don't run into any problems, or you can load it, or you wait for the global version of this phone as the other thing here too. So all our typical toggles right here. Notifications are showing. NFC is on board here too. Now, someone did ask me this in the comments of the original first video, my hands-on first impressions. They wanted to know the barometer. Okay, there is a barometer on board this, and the other sensors here. So hit pause if you want to read this, because there's no point me taking up too much time with that one. Good X is our fingerprint reader, which I pointed out isn't super quick, but I think it's just down to software optimization. Now, the wireless in this particular phone is one of the best I have seen, not just for maximum speeds, but the most important. Only 2 bars or 3 bars of signal strength. It gets the fastest speeds I have ever seen here. So it can get an average of 322 in the same place. Other flagships may only get 180. Now it does have dual frequency GPS, so you're going to pick up the level 5 ones you can see in there. That's the carrier frequency, of course. And GPS is very good. So there were 60 satellites in view. It used 28. Accuracy, this is Qualcomm typical. 3 meters right there. And battery life. So this is one thing that did surprise me. It just topped my charts. Now, other flagships I've tested out with 60 hertz. They do offer high refresh rates. And when I put them on 60, we'll get maybe 14 hours and 20 minutes. But this one is right up there over 15 and a half hours. So great battery life. That's a definite 2-day mobile phone for most people. Now, what about the idle drain overnight? I've noticed keeping it on overnight, you're going to lose about 7%. Okay, so it's not the best maybe, but it's not too bad. The battery life is excellent. Internal storage, so my spec here, because I've got the 256 gigabytes of UFS 3.1 storage, is blazing fast. The random reads and writes, one of the best I've seen, and the sequential writes as well, very, very good. That's right up there with the best phones out there. Just like the Antutu version 8.3 score, almost 600,000, excellent. Really, really good performance from this, as expected with the spec. And this was a big surprise. Widevine level 1 cert on the Chinese ROM. Well done, Xiaomi. It's normally level 3. So that means Netflix, Amazon Prime should be in Full HD+. And we do have Camera 2 API support. So Gcam ports, yes, I have been actually testing one out. There are some working ones out there, but not 100% bug-free. And this is a bit of the bloat that you will get out of the box with this particular phone here. Free storage. So with the 256 gigabyte version, you will have 238 gigabytes free and available to you. And I am on the latest version here. There was an update that I added before I started testing it out. So onto our audio quality now. So sadly, we don't have a front-facing loudspeaker in the earpiece. It would have been great if that also doubled as a loudspeaker, but it's missing here. That's not to mean that the bottom-firing loudspeaker is actually bad. It's a very good one here from Xiaomi. Now, the 3.5mm output quality, excellent. This is typical for Xiaomi, and it does not disappoint. It sounds great. To my ears, very clean. Good, great audio out of that. So let's have a listen to that loudspeaker, but as mentioned before, the call quality as well, great with this phone. So here's that sample. So onto gaming performance. So just show you that when you initially first shoot something, for example, in this game here, Shadowgun Legends, you occasionally get just a few little stutters, but it is super smooth and fluid. As you'd imagine with that 8 gigabytes of RAM, Snapdragon 865 here, really, really quick. And it is very immersive with this particular screen here because we have no notch and no cutout getting in the way, which is great. So overall, it is getting a little warm. I've been gaming now for about 30 minutes, 40 minutes or so. And we'll take a look at those thermals. Right now, it was just at 57. Now it's at 52. And the battery can get up to about 38 degrees. But overall, thermals are really good. And as mentioned, the performance, this is just so smooth with that 8 gigabytes of RAM and the Adreno 650. So no issues with gaming. Really nice on this phone. So let's have a look at our camera now. So we have the photo mode, pretty standard here. Tapping this right here is the 0.6, which is the ultra wide 13 megapixel camera. And then that's the main one, the 64 megapixel. So 3 times, this is the 3 times optical 5 megapixel camera that does have optical image stabilization, just like our main sensor that we get here with the Zoom edition. 64 megapixel mode, so that doesn't use any pixel binning. Portrait photo, night shot mode, which you can also use with digital zoom, well, the 3 times, but it's using the main sensor. Mimojo, and then the Pro mode here, which is the interesting one. So Pro mode works just like their flagships, other flagships, with the video mode as well. So white balance, focus, shutter rate, exposure. Now that shutter rate goes right up to 32 seconds. The ISO, let's take a look at that. So that goes right up to 6,400. And then with our video mode too, you've got the same kind of settings there, which is great, and 8K video pro mode too. But let's have a look at some samples. Sample now from the front-facing camera. So this one does have very good quality. It's nice and sharp, good audio. But as you can see as I walk along, that it does not have any electronic image stabilization. This is something super typical with Xiaomi, and I hope with a firmware update they do add electronic image stabilization. And this is 4K 30 frames per second. So this stability to me is very good. So optical and electronic image stabilization. I'm just walking ahead, holding it handheld. I'm not using a gimbal or anything. The stability to me is very, very similar to the Mi 10 and the Mi 10 Pro. And this is now using their super steady video. So I'm just running behind my daughter here, trying to catch up to her. She's too quick. And you can see it is very stable. So this is something that's similar to what Samsung has with their ultra steady mode and other manufacturers. And we're able to also shoot 4K with the ultra wide camera. This is 30 frames per second with electronic image stabilization, and it is very good, this stability. And listen to the audio quality. So this is 320 kilobits per second audio, just like the Xiaomi Mi 10 and the Mi 10 Pro, their flagships. Overall, impressive video. I'm quite happy with the quality on the K30 Pro Zoom. And now 8K video, so this is really 6K upscaled to 8K, just like the Mi 10 Pro. But what is different here is when I was using the Mi 10 and the Mi 10 Pro, we didn't have any optical image stabilization working with 8K. For some reason it was disabled. But here we have at least optical image stabilization. So the footage to me is still usable. Not as smooth and as nice as the 4K with electronic, but we've got this option. Now you're probably thinking, why would I want to use 8K video? Now 8K video, if you do downscale it to 4K, does look very sharp, capturing a lot more detail than just standard 4K. But I wish we had a 6K option.
Okay, so the camera. I think that's the overall biggest weakness with this particular phone. Don't expect it to compete with last year flagships like the P30 Pro, the Samsung Galaxy S10 Plus, or the iPhone 11. It just will not, okay? The video quality is very, very good. I love the fact we have manual video mode with pretty much every setting you want in there. Focus peaking, you can even shoot vlog, and you can shoot the 6K upscaled to 8K option as well to gain sharper looking video. Now the front facing camera, sadly, when you shoot video for vlogs, no image stabilization. Why is Xiaomi doing that? A couple of other things that are missing. Video out on the Type-C port would have been perfect. Would have been absolutely great to have that. And yes, if this screen, if it was 90 Hz AMOLED, it's a fantastic 60 Hz AMOLED panel that's in this. I love it, but no notch, no cutouts, and if it was 90 Hz, it would be an absolute winner there from Xiaomi. So Xiaomi, if you're watching this video, if you ever do watch my videos, please, Poco F2 or the Mi 10T Pro, whatever it's going to be called, the global edition of this one, add a 90 Hz panel, and I think you've got an absolute winner. If you improve the camera, give it front-facing video stabilization as well with a front-facing camera, and really it's going to be a hard one to beat. There's really nothing else that's missing from this, well, apart from maybe micro SD card support. So there you go, now you know why I like this model so much. Thank you for watching this video in depth of the Redmi K30 Pro Zoom Edition.